Hi, I'm Peter Knight. In this series on golf swing, I want to start off looking at swing plane. Now, it's a term that's used a lot. If you ask 5 coaches or 5 players, you might get 5 different definitions. Here's the definition we're going to work with. The swing plane is essentially the angle that the club swings on, but we want to have some reference points as well. The club on the ground here represents my target line, so it's lined up toward my target. When I set myself up to play a shot, the bottom of my shaft is actually pointed to that target line. So imagine I've got a laser light shining out either end of the shaft of the club. When I set myself up, the laser coming out of the head end of the shaft is touching that line. As I begin to swing the club away from the ball, that laser light is tracing a straight line along the ground. And of course, from where you're looking, you can see that the club doesn't go straight away from the ball, because then that laser light would be pointed out here somewhere. When I'm swinging back, the club is moving on a very shallow curve, so the laser is pointed to the ground here. When I get to here, it's pointed to the ground about back where the camera is there. When the club gets to here and it's parallel to my target line, it's also parallel to the ground. So there's my reference points for the start of the swing. That laser shining out the bottom end of the club is tracing a line along the ground, along my target line, until it becomes parallel. After that, as the club continues back, the grip end of the club is pointed to my target line and traces a line along it all the way back to the top of the swing. In the downswing, it's the reverse. The grip end of the club points along the target line. Now it's parallel, and now the head end of the shaft traces a straight line down and past impact. So when I swing the club back and through, that's the path that I want to swing it on. Now, if we think of the swing path rather than being a manipulated movement, if we think of the swing path as being an orbit, if I hold the club in my fingertips here, I have no control over it, but if I turn my body back away from the target and then through again, the club follows the path that I want it to swing on. So again, I haven't manipulated that, but I've allowed it to swing on that path. So swing plane is really just having the lower end of the club, whichever end of the club is lowest to the ground, should be tracing a line along that target line. And it doesn't matter whether you're putting, chipping, pitching, playing a bunker shot, irons or drive, you've got that same reference point, so it makes it nice and easy for you to reference. So put a couple of clubs on the ground out of harm's reach of a swinging golf club so that you can reference what you're doing. Another way of doing that, again, is to monitor the movement from a mirror or something like that. But if you have the club swinging on the correct plane, you're going to find it a lot easier to get control of the path, which is something else that we'll need to look at.